time for us to check out the new hero of the Hunted, Arakni, Web of Deceit / Arakni Marionette, our Chaos Assassin hero for the set. So, he is going to be the draft hero, featured alongside Fang and Cindra, right? So that's very intriguing because my mind straight away goes to Chaos, it being a sub-talent that should hopefully be similar, right, to Draconic. Not royal, so actually fleshed out with a decent chunk of cards to make use of, which is very intriguing because what will Chaos do? Now, aside from that, let's look at what Arakni actually does. So he has two abilities. Your attacks with stealth that are attacking a marked hero get +1, and when this hits, this gets go again, along with at the beginning of your end phase, if an opponent is marked, you become a random agent of chaos. So very, very intriguing. But I gotta be honest, a little bit underwhelming, right? So let's break this down a little bit further. So starting, we have marked. Marked is a mechanic where you set up marked, and then the next time you hit your opponent, you clear marked. Meaning that if you're making use of the top ability of Arakni, you're most likely not making use of the bottom effect. You're either setting up mark and leaving it there to become a random agent of chaos, or you're setting up mark to then utilize your stealth card with potentially go again and that +1 to its damage. Now, interesting, a little bit versatile, but where the problems start to appear for me, right, is the Agents of Chaos. Now, we don't know what they are, right, but they should hopefully be revealed soon. In the spoiler notice for the Hunted, there is a 6-card slot coming up, which I assume will be the 6 Agents of Chaos, right? I think it's set for the 17th, according to the live stream, right? So actually, it should be right when this comes out. So yeah, I guess we'll do a follow-up straight away if that is the case. But the problem that I have is depending on how the random agent of chaos works, it either becomes a ability you want to kind of stay away from, an ability you want to high roll into, and both options just leave me a little bit underwhelmed, right? So for instance, if you have 6 agents of chaos and they are permanent changes, right? So you end your turn with your opponent being marked, you become a different agent of chaos, and then they have the same clause. At the beginning of your end phase, if an opponent is marked, you become a different agent of chaos. The problem that then comes from that is it will be essentially a game of high roll, right? Where you're looking for a specific agent of chaos, given whatever their abilities are, and you are fishing for that agent of chaos, and then that's it, right? That's as far as the interaction with the mark mechanic goes, right? You mark, you become the agent of chaos that you want, and you're done. You've high rolled, right? If they are a once a turn sort of mechanic, right? Where no matter what it is at the end of that turn that you've become an agent of chaos, you convert back to normal Arakni, Web of Deceit / Marionette. Then the issue becomes time, right? Again, depending on what the abilities of the agent of chaos, unless they're really simplified and again work with whatever you're doing, it becomes an issue of, well, how do I set up to go into a random agent of chaos, right? And then you also have the normal factor whenever it comes to randomness is all it takes is 1 or 2 of the agents of chaos to be, you know, below average or heck, even average for you to go, this is not worth it, right? I will definitely make use of the marked stealth mechanic, but taking a gamble on downgrading my ability is not necessarily worth it, right? So yeah, hopefully we get highly flexible, really powerful agents of chaos, and none of that matters. But again, all I can see it going is either it being a high roll mechanic where you're fishing for X agent of chaos, or a mechanic that you kind of want to stay away from because again, you don't want to roll into the wrong agent of chaos in a competitive game like Fab. And then we have the first ability. So your attacks with stealth that are attacking a marked hero get +1, and then if it hits, gets go again, right? So it is in 2 steps, conditional, right? You have to mark your opponent, and then you have to land your stealth attack for it to actually get go again, right? So we don't quite know what marked is going to be at current in comparison to cards that we have seen, which again, only a handful. Marked looks to be just this mechanic that you throw out an action card and it marks your opponent, right? And if it's as simple as that, then sure, this is okay, decent design, right? You play a card to mark your opponent, you then play a stealth card. So you're in essence, right? Playing one card to mark your opponents to potentially, and again, conditionally, get go again, otherwise just a +1 to your stealth card's damage. Yeah, that is not super exciting to me, right? Again, stock standard value for playing one card as a buffing card is +3, and this is not +3. Now, depending on what else Mark does, that becomes the curious effect, because what we have seen from Arakni is their contract mechanic being tied to Mark, and all it would take is a simple set of cards that are nice and simple. Contract, if you hit a marked hero, gain silver, right? That would take care of everything Assassin needs right now. If we don't get something like that, then again, you're feeding all these conditions to get what? Potentially go again, and potentially, right, just +1 when playing something else, playing different reaction cards, you could get greater than +1, right? Yeah. So the other thing to then look at is we do have Tarantula Toxin, right, which indicates that one, if not both, weapons for Arakni are going to have stealth. So what I personally would really love to see is 2 daggers. One dagger sets up the mark, right? So if this hits, mark your opponent. And then the other, nice and simple, has stealth. And then if it hits a marked opponent, generate silver, right? It doesn't need go again because hopefully Arachni's ability is then utilized to give X dagger go again. They can give that dagger with stealth higher base damage since it doesn't have go again, right? And it can feel a bit more synergistic with what Arakni is doing in base. Again, as simple as no matter what turn you're going into, it's your dagger swings to potentially high rolling with these other stealth cards into X other card, right? Whether it's a chaos or it's a normal card with contract, right? If it's that flexible, then sure, I will revisit what I think. But till then, again, it is underwhelming in the sense that you're step 1, again, 1 card to mark a hero. Step 2, you get +1, so you've spent 1 card for +1, and the potential to get Gogen, right? The other issue that I kind of have with Assassin is the class has become so busy, right? So we had Contract, then we got Stealth, then we got Silver Equipment, right, where you're buying it back, which is really cool, right? And again, synergized with Contract. Then we got play X amount of defense reactions to buff these niche cards, right? And now we're getting marked, plus whatever chaos is. There's a lot going on to try and make a well-rounded deck that, again, does everything you want it to when you want to do it, right? Then you throw in the randomness of the Agents of Chaos, you throw in the conditional effect, right, of Arachni's main stake ability, and all I see is I'd rather play Arakni slip through the cracks, right? Where it's guaranteed that my first stealth card each turn has go again. Sure, I don't get the +1, but I don't have to go through the hurdle of marking my opponent. Again, right? If Contract for the Hunted relies heavily on marked, and again, still accomplishes the silver generation that Assassin needs for all its equipment, then sure, this is significantly better, right? But I would still say it's about average. We then get to the Agents of Chaos. If they're all super fantastic, right? Then sure. Other than that, as it currently stands, too much randomness and too big of a hurdle for me to really like the ability, right? Again, if we're sticking with Contract, then we want normal Arakni. If we're sticking with Stealth, then we want Slip Through the Cracks, right? Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see what the Agents of Chaos are. But again, my biggest fear is that it just becomes a race to high roll into X agent, right? Or again, there's not enough value there for you to want to take the gamble. And then we also have the condition of how marked goes about being, right? It could be as simple as a dagger swing. It could be as simple as an action card, or it could be as complex as being an on-hit effect, right? And I think if marked is tied behind on-hit as well for Arakni, or for the majority of cards, that would also be really bad, because then your top ability becomes doubly conditional, right? You have to land the hit to mark, and then you have to land the hits to get go again, right? So, yeah. You got to play marked. You most likely got to play Contract for your best in slot equipment. You kind of got to play Stealth to get the value out of this ability. That is just a lot for a class to do. And I kind of wish we, reined it in a little bit, right? If it was just marked, right? Some ability with marked and it left it open, right? Even if it was just your next attack that hits a marked hero gets +1 and go again, right? Instead of it having to be a stealth card, then sure. But I can't see them printing, 6 best in slot cards for Chaos Assassin, right? That don't rely on silver from contract. I can see them printing contract that is as simple as hitting a marked hero to generate silver, right? But then also that becomes so simplistic in comparison to normal contract where you're slowly, raining through your opponent's deck, and if you hit one of those big ticket cards, you feel glorious and you're that much closer to winning the game. So yeah, overall my main verdict when it comes to Chaos Arakni is there's just too much going on. There's too much going on for me to enjoy the ability. The ability itself is too conditional, right? Again, if you're not marking, you're playing a blank hero, right? And I see so much better value out of Slip Through the Cracks and guaranteeing to go again, even with whatever the Agents of Chaos end up being, right? Because, again, Flesh and Blood is highly strategic, highly competitive, that chucking in a random element, as fun as it can be, doesn't necessarily always work. Now, I'm sure they might end up printing ways to guarantee what Agent of Chaos you become, but until we see that, until we see more cards, I gotta say, I am just kind of underwhelmed by Arakni Web of Deceit / Arakni Marionette, and I'm kind of more excited for Slip Through the Cracks, right? And just the guaranteed go again to synergize stealth with contract or stealth with attack reactions a bit better. But that's my 2 cents. Again, by the time this comes out, everything I just said could be completely invalidated by actually seeing more Arakni cards. That stands, right? I'm hoping for a dagger that marks and a dagger that synergizes with stealth to guarantee that you can make use of Arakni's effect rather than having to fish for the right line of cards, being card 1 mark, card 2 stealth, card 3 payoff, right? And yeah, the Agents of Chaos. Hopefully, again, they're all simplistic, they all synergize with whatever cards you're going to play, and it's not you want X agent with X hand, and it's just doubly random. Anyway, how do you feel about Arakni, right? Excited to see what Chaos is, excited for its potential, but as it currently stands, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm underwhelmed. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah.